You're watching Local Access, Channel 29, exclusive programming for Comcast subscribers.
Good evening. Once again, here we are with the Libertarian Perspective. My name is Philip Labe, and I'm with the Libertarian Party of Florida. I actually work with people in this region of Florida. And with me today is Geoff Pike. Geoff, he used to be the vice chair of our local Duval County affiliate. I've known Geoff, I've met you, and we've been at several meetings together for the local affiliate. Now, Geoff, I was wondering, how did you become a Libertarian? How long have you been a Libertarian? What is it that drew you to this party?
Well, I've been a member of the party for over 7 years now, and I've been active locally with the Libertarian Party of Duval County for over 6 years. My time kind of goes before that. I didn't have one moment where I all of a sudden became a Libertarian. I mean, some people kind of go through that. Mine was more gradual. I grew up as a child with Ronald Reagan as president and certainly listened to him. You know, he said government is not the solution, it's the problem. Now, his policies didn't reflect his rhetoric, but, you know, certainly he spoke like a libertarian in a lot of ways.
It was a great thing when he said that. I wish he had done more.
Yeah, if only his policies had reflected his philosophy more. But and then as time went on, there were a lot of people that influenced me, not necessarily all libertarians. But probably my biggest influence was Harry Browne. He was the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party in 1996 and 2000. It was actually after the 2000 election that I started reading him a lot. And for anyone out there, I definitely recommend their reading Harry Browne's books or any of his articles on the internet. It's harrybrowne.org, Brown with an E. He's got several books, Why Government Doesn't Work and The Great Libertarian Offer. And then he's also got a self-help book, and he's got investment books, and I'd certainly recommend any of them. And then there's just been other influences through time. Certainly Ron Paul, I read him. Various libertarian websites, the Mises Institute, which focuses on Austrian economics. So just over time, I've just come to believe that freedom is the answer to our problems. And one of the things that Harry Browne pointed out was that you have to define government, and what government is it's a legal monopoly on force. Everything that the government does involves force or the threat of force. So if you don't follow a regulation, if you don't pay your taxes, eventually they'll come to get you with guns. I mean, that's essentially what government is. So to have a more peaceful and prosperous society, we need to try and reduce government as much as possible and reduce that force and deal with things in a voluntary way.
Absolutely. Now, I know as we've talked, you have an interest in the economy and specifically how the Federal Reserve interplays with economics. And as we all know, recently the economy hasn't gone that well. A lot of people have different theories on what's going on. They blame consumers for taking out loans that are bad. They blame banks for giving bad loans. A lot of people don't look at something like the Federal Reserve as a big player in the economy. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Federal Reserve has something to do with where we're at?
Yeah, definitely, and I think the politicians like it that the Federal Reserve is this mysterious entity that people don't want to pay attention to. Either they're bored with the subject or it's too complex for them. But if you break it down, it doesn't have to be that complex, but the politicians like it that way because it allows them to get away with things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Now, doesn't the Federal Reserve just print money? How could they cause economic problems?
Yeah,
or what
well,
do they
that's
do?
exactly right. They essentially print money. Now, they have other ways of doing it besides just printing money. They issue credit. They basically increase the money supply out there through banks, through the purchase of treasury bonds, things like that. And basically it distorts the economy. It's got a lot of harmful effects.
But isn't more money better? I like to have more money.
Yeah, well, more money seems to be better, but the thing is it doesn't produce any wealth, and that's the key. If you could just make yourself wealthy by printing up money, then hey, why not print up unlimited amounts? I mean, if that were the case, then the country of Zimbabwe would be the wealthiest country on earth because they printed money like crazy. So what it does, when they create this money, you've got all this extra money and it's chasing the same number of goods and products and services out there, so it devalues the money that you have. So the money that you have in your wallet, it becomes worth less over time. And even the money sitting in your checking account. And even if you're earning interest on it, it's probably still earning less interest than the amount it's being devalued by. So it's really an insidious form of taxation. I mean, it's really the politicians' way of taxing people without them knowing it.
So even though for those people that have jobs, we might get paid more, the fact that $2.50 is a good price for a loaf of bread, and $2.50 is also a good price for a gallon of gas, really it erodes our purchasing power.
Right, exactly. And if you think about it, when they do this, the ultimate effect is, of course, to increase prices. So if you've got, like you said, you know, a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk, and it increases by $1, that actually harms the poor and the middle class more. It's the people that are well connected that are benefiting from it. It's you know, lobbyists. It's people that have government contracts. The politicians themselves. They're the ones that see this money first, and of course the banks too. So they're the ones that benefit from it. They get to spend it before they see the prices go up. So it's really a redistribution of wealth in a sense. It's really from people holding money and going to those that are politically connected. And then of course there's other bad effects from all this too, because it distorts the economy. It misallocates resources. So this extra money goes into things that it shouldn't have gone into. So we went through a recession in 2001, and the government tried to stave it off, which they did at the time by lowering interest rates and creating more money. That was under Alan Greenspan when he was chairman of the Federal Reserve. And those low interest rates, they distorted the signal in the marketplace. They made it seem like there were more people saving money than actually were, and all of a sudden you had this big increase in housing, and it essentially formed this bubble economy. And the same thing with the stock market. So that's why you have these booms, and then all of a sudden you have these crashes. It's because of this artificial credit that the Federal Reserve is really responsible for.
So basically the housing crisis, the 1999 tech bubble, they would have been different if it weren't for the influx of basically fake money that people had to take and put somewhere.
Yeah, they never could have exploded to the degree that they would have. Now, of course, there were other things, and this goes back to government too, that certainly helped with the housing bubble. You know, there was the Community Reinvestment Act, which encouraged banks to give out loans to people whose credit weren't as high as they should have been, And of course you've got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, both government entities that purchase these loans, and so certainly they encouraged it a lot, but without that artificial credit and those low interest rates by the Federal Reserve, then there's no way that it could have blown up like it did and then collapsed.